My name is HyeJung, and I am a 2020 Tillman Scholar. I researched the transition from late adolescence into early adulthood and the stressors that are associated with such transitional period. Recently, I learned of the Brandon's Act, which passed in December 2021, which now allows service members to seek direct mental health services confidentially, as well as if needed, outside of the chain of command. While learning about this act, I learned about Brandon Caserta and the process that it took for us to get this act passed. I urge you to read his story and the letters he wrote home that his parents shared with us online. As a non-commissioned officer, I recognize how toxic the military culture could be and how rigid and unforgiving the military system is especially for those who don't get the go the first time, and how limited our biannual mental health trainings are, and the need for us to train our soldiers' mental health as if we're training their physical health. Though I was able to identify these problems, I wasn't able to come up with solutions. And I think the problem was, while I was processing this, is that all of the areas that were needing improvement, it was just too broad. It was too many things that we needed to solve. And so just like in research, I narrowed the scope of my thinking and focused on the age range that I was best knowledgeable at, right? The 18-year-olds to 24-year-olds, which happens to be, for the enlisted soldiers, around the time that they're in their first contract. So kind of considered this, right? Fresh out of adolescence, you're ambitious and you have aspirations, and you're in your first contract in the military, and you're met with different circumstances and challenges during the peak time of your exploration and the greater self-discovery. And to me, I process that as the need to consider developmentally relevant mental health trainings. So for those of you who are not following my train of thought, let me give you an example. For those who are 18 to 19-year-old, how do you deal with the disappointment in not being able to do what you set out to do because you fall at the mercy of the needs of the military? How does one overcome the frustrations of being reassigned to a completely different career trajectory than the one that their recruiter promised and built your dreams off of? We often overlook these emotional processes that occur during the first contract because it happens way too frequently within the military, right? And often soldiers are told, this is just the way that it is. Just because it happens to many doesn't mean that it should go unacknowledged, untreated, and unresolved. So I stand around and I'm thinking, where do we go from here, right? The Brandon's Act has passed. Where do we go? I talked very briefly about kind of this specific experience, right? For an enlisted soldier, first contract. But I know that these challenges exist in officers' experiences, and that these challenges change as you're living through your military career. I bring this to the Tillman community because I think that the Tillman family has this unique position to provide a framework or future directions based on the diverse composition of the military experiences represented here, as well as the differences or the dynamic academic disciplines that are represented within this room, as well as broadly across our community. The initial goal for this UNCONFERENCE is to start a discussion on how a developmentally relevant mental health trainings can be something that we consider and implement while the Brandon's Act becomes implemented throughout the Army or the military, sorry, Army girl, but throughout the military. I hope that we continue this discussion throughout the summit, but also on Discord. Thank you.